Michigan won the toss and deferred, so they'll kick off and get that defense on the field first. Temperature near 50 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Very little breeze in the stadium at the moment. And Kenny Allen, a good kickoff. It's a touchback. So here comes Connor Cook, the winningest quarterback in the history of Michigan State. 60% completions this season and just 2 interceptions thrown to go along with 12 touchdown passes. But the number that stood out to Jim Harbaugh when we visited with him yesterday was Cook's career record of 29-3 as the Michigan State starting quarterback. He's the winningest active quarterback in the country. L.J. Scott, the freshman, is the lone running back. And it's a play action fake and a throw on the run for Cook, incomplete.
So Sean, as we watch this football game, one of the key matchups will be an outstanding wide receiver core for the Spartans going up against a defensive backfield that really plays tight coverage. They eliminate yards after catch, and both sets of positions are playing at a very high level.
A rare pass on first down for Michigan State. They're about 75% run on first down. Back to the ground. L.J. Scott trying to find a hole, and he gets buried short of the line of scrimmage. One issue for Michigan State all season long has been the health of its offensive line. They thought they'd have one of the best in the country, but several returning standouts. This is the way they line up today. Jack Conklin, who missed the last 2, is back at left tackle. Benny McGowan at left guard. Brian Allen is the center. Donovan Clark at right guard, and Cody Keeler at right tackle. They're without Jack Allen, their All-American center, and the older brother of Brian Allen, who will not play today with an ankle injury suffered last week at Rutgers.
They've had trouble handling any type of blitz movement up front.
Michigan, the best third down defense in the country. Cook going deep and has a man. Aaron Burbridge for a first down. They'll mark him out right at the 50-yard line. Gain of 27 and a first down for Michigan State.
Well, it starts with the protection of handling the blitz, but we're going to have right here just a takeoff route from the inside, getting depth, and a great throw, Todd, by Connor Cook, putting it on the back shoulder.
And that's what we've seen all season from him, hanging in the pocket when protection's there, really poised and understanding that he can trust his offensive line and then getting the ball out just in time.
Mentioned Michigan's strength on defense on third down, but Michigan State's 50% on offense on third down, and that's 8th best in the country. L.J. Scott got a yard before he got driven back by Ryan Glasgow in the middle of that front 3, dominantly a 3-4 look on defense for Michigan. Mention the numbers. They are a run-heavy first down team coming into today's game. 139 runs on first down, just 45 passes. Mark D'Antonio, with his 9th season as head coach at Michigan State. Cook stumbled coming away from center and goes down for about a 4-yard loss.
Don't see that very often from a veteran. Usually an offensive lineman is going to step on his foot. You see right there, Brian Allen, the new center for his brother Jack Allen, with a set step with his right foot, trips up Connor Cook.
Brian Allen has played plenty of center. He's also played guard. His older brother Jack said, Brian is much better at 100% than I would be at 60%. And that's one reason why Jack Allen won't play today with the ankle injury. Third down and 13. Michigan brings a blitz, and Cook got away for a moment and then threw it away.
Well, DJ Durkin is creative. They're going to bring pressure from the outside. Now Connor Cook is responsible for one of the blitzers on the outside. He takes care of that, but Godin, number 99, finishes him off to force the overthrow.
And give that one to Godin. Great job of keeping contained on the outside. That allows you to blitz and take some chances when you know your defensive front are going to keep gap containment.
Tyler O'Connor is the punter. He's a new punter. Punted once last week as Jack Hartbarger struggled. It has for much of the season. And O'Connor's first punt today is not very good. Just 26 yards. Big edge coming in special teams, one would expect for Michigan. They played much better in those areas than Michigan State has so far this year. The Michigan quarterback is the fifth-year senior Jake Rudock from Weston, Florida and South Florida. Graduate transfer from Iowa. Will play just the one season here at Michigan. Got off to a shaky start. Turnover plagued in the opener at Utah. He's been much more solid since as he gets more comfortable in the new system and with his new teammates.
Ball start. Offense number 88. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Jake Butt, the tight end, guilty of the movement.
This will be the biggest test for the Wolverine offensive line. They have not faced a front four like the Spartans are bringing in Ann Arbor today. Very physical, very active.
Rudock coming off his best game last week against Northwestern. Pitches it to Davion Smith, and he gets stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Joel Heath led the defensive surge for Michigan State.
Sean, because Michigan State is so active with their safeties coming up and supporting the run, early on, Michigan has to attack the post or the middle of the field with their receivers just to keep them honest. When you do that, then you're able to open up that inside running game, hesitating those safeties from coming up too quick by checking them deep.
Pistol formation now with Davion Smith lined up behind Rudock. And nothing doing. Chris, we expect a smash mouth game. Harlan Barnett, the co-defensive coordinator for Michigan State, said both teams like to line up and play physical football, and it's probably going to come down to which team is more effective right there at the line of scrimmage.
You know, I'm going to say something that I haven't said in about 10 years. Both sets of fullbacks on each team are important because they're usually at the point of attack, and both teams use a fullback as their lead blocker, and Harlan's exactly right. You line up and find out who's tougher.
Co-coordinator with Mike Tressel, who's on the field. Barnett calls the defenses. Rudock in trouble, and he'll be taken down back at the 18-yard line. Riley Buller, the middle linebacker.
Both teams are very, very aggressive on third downs. Riley Buller right here is coming. You have Chris Fry as a nickel back. Darian Harris, 45. They'll be able to make it. Shalik Calhoun wearing number 43 today. They're going to hug up on that man coverage and are able to finish off the blitz.
He's wearing 43 as Calhoun for Ed Davis, the injured linebacker who has not played this season. Blake O'Neill with the rugby punt, and it takes a tremendous bounce. This is the 5th time in 7 games he's had a punt downed inside the 5, and that one is an 80-yard punt by the native Australian. Had a little snow flurry activity early this morning. Connor Cook from his own 2 fires and gets them out of the hole immediately with the catch by Aaron Burbridge.
Great job right there by Cook, getting the ball out on time and doing it with the receiver had not broke from his route. Put it in a perfect spot for him on the sideline.
Yeah, and it's a good coverage to exploit. They were playing a soft corner out there, and you roll him out to whether dump the ball or hit the outcut. Perfectly timed by Connor Cook and Burbridge.
Second catch for Burbridge, who had 9 for 156 yards last week at Rutgers. Their receivers were outstanding in that win against the Scarlet Knights. R.J. Shelton took the handoff, went ahead for a couple. Joe Bolden the tackle, and we check in with Adnan Burke. That is 13 straight wins for Memphis. Michigan State arrives having won 10 in a row dating back to last year, the 4th longest winning streak in the country. Delton Williams spins ahead For a hard-earned couple. Desmond Morgan, inside linebacker, made the tackle.
Just feel like you're at a old school football game. I mean, when you can hear pads pop on contact, you know guys are playing. It's very important for both schools, both teams, and they turn it up naturally a notch.
The rivalry, the most important thing today, but both teams are 2-0 in the Big Ten. And both certainly with realistic aspirations to be in the college football playoff. Who would have thought you'd be saying that about Michigan when the year began?
A substitution. 12 players on defense. 5-yard penalty. The yardage results in first down.
Wow. Critical mistake.
That's the one thing they've been doing really well, Sean, is communication. DJ Durkin talked about that yesterday, that they don't have a lot of mental errors. And that's on coaching. I mean, that's on him. His responsibility to get the right personnel in the ball game at the right times and the right down and distance.
He's done a terrific job. He was at Florida under Will Muschamp most recently. Just 37 years old, one of the rising stars in coaching, and certainly if you started to put names together for the Frank Broyles Award as the top assistant coach in college football this year, his name would be very high on the list. They have done that. Benny McGowan's moved from left guard to right. David Beadle's in at left guard. The throw short from Cook in the direction of McGarrett Kings.
Going back to Keeler and the injury, I'm standing about 20 yards behind him. He started feeling something in his hand or arm. He was pointing to it, and the coaches were saying, "Well, get down so that the referees know, so that we don't, so we don't get in a situation where you have to play this play." So it was a legitimate injury.
Yeah, good. And you would expect that from a Mark D'Antonio coach team. He's a tough kid. He's been playing hurt, toughing it out.
Going against form, Michigan State has passed on 3 of their 5 first down plays today. Delton Williams, the running back, the junior, they're going to redshirt him until last week. Cook throws, and it's broken up by Jordan Lewis. DJ Durkin says he's playing at an all-American level, and he had the coverage on Aaron Burbridge.
Well, this is the matchup. I mean, it's skill on skill. Our speed guys against your speed guys, and right now, when they've gone man-to-man, the Wolverines have won that battle. Jordan Lewis, excellent job of keeping his discipline and not looking back too soon at the quarterback so the receiver can't pull away.
Third down and 10. No score midway through the opening quarter. Just a 4-man rush, and Cook with plenty of time and another good catch for a first down. Aaron Burbridge again with Jordan Lewis once again in coverage.
Well, it starts with the protection, and they've had so many different line combinations. Right now, these guys are handling the pressure of what Michigan is bringing.
And Burbridge does a really good job of going up and attacking that football. You'll see that throughout the day, and I'm sure Michigan State fans know. When the ball's in the air, he's not waiting for it to get to him. He goes up and attacks it, and he has a really good feel for timing his jumps.
Yeah, the other thing, Todd, he snapped his head around knowing that Connor Cook was going to deliver that ball, and he better have his eyes up.
Well, their receiver group has played so well. Particularly impressive last week in that win against Rutgers. Delton Williams did not get back to the line of scrimmage. Maurice Hurst has been a very effective backup at the nose behind Ryan Glasgow. Made the tackle for Michigan. Glasgow and Hurst have combined for 4 sacks, and that's a lot from the nose position. 9 tackles for a loss.
Especially in a 3-4, so they're getting double teamed a lot. I think Michigan State's going to have to do this. They're going to have to throw the ball on first down a little bit as they come in. You see Cody Keeler back in the ball game, which is good news for the Spartans. But I think they need to start throwing on first down to open up a little running lane.
They spread the field on 2nd and 10. Cook throws, open receiver, R.J. Shelton down to the Michigan 42-yard line.
Looks like Jabril Peppers is going to get turned around, number 5. As R.J. Shelton runs a little switch route, and there's a nice little pick by Burbridge. If they're man-to-man like that, those are called man beaters, where you start rubbing defenders close together, hoping for the pickoff. well executed by the patience of the Michigan State wide receivers.
19-yard gain. Peppers lined up now on R.J. Shelton. Who'll win the one-on-one battles outside? On the delay, Delton Williams lowers his shoulder, crosses the 40, and powers down to the 39. Desmond Morgan made the tackle. Fifth-year senior from Holland, Michigan, in the western part of the state. So he's surrounded by a lot of Michigan State fans back home, and he's tired of hearing about the Spartans' success in this rivalry in recent years. Trevin Pendleton, the fullback, in front of Delton Williams. Williams with a flag down at the offensive line. Williams got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Ben Gideon made the tackle. John O'Neill, the referee, one of the best in the country.
Personal foul, chop block. Offense number 75 and 76. 15 yards from the previous spot. Repeat, second out.
Benny McGowan and Donovan Clark. Let's check in back in the studio with Adney and Burke. That was a surprising loss for the Sooners. We were there last week in Dallas for the Red River rivalry. 2nd and 21. Michigan State back in its own territory now at the 46. Cook faked the inside handoff, swung it out to Burbridge, and a good tackle in the open field by Jordan Lewis. And some good old-fashioned woofing ensues.
that's a natural in this rivalry. I like the call. You know, McGarrett King, Sean, he ran a route. He was supposed to block on that. He passed up Jordan Lewis because I believe Burbridge had, or Shelton had, some room to run after that. He just passed up and whiffed on the block.
Third and 17. 4.5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. They started from their own 2, the 11th play of the possession. Cook, all kinds of time, flag down to the secondary. It's an interception, at least for the moment, by DeMonte Thomas. And he brings it back to the 35-yard line, but there's a flag down in the secondary.
Holding. Defense number 86. 10 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
I'll tell you, the coverage was pretty good right there. You cannot ask your secondary to play man-to-man for that long of a period of time. So when you bring 4, you have to be able to sustain some type of pressure. There's no pressure. Connor Cook's able to find a throwing lane. You're going to see it right there. Jordan Lewis tackles the man he was covering.
He announced 86, I believe, but I think he meant 26. Jordan Lewis. Well, it's the second time in this drive a penalty against the Michigan defense has given Michigan State a first down. And a reverse. Aaron Burbridge with running room. And he's run down by Chris Wormley, a defensive end, but very near another first down. What a drive this is for the Spartans.
That's akin to throwing the ball on first down, any type of razzle-dazzle. And they use Shelton and Burbridge for their outside running game in a double reverse, which they have not shown on film, off the jet sweep look. Oh, Wormley running them down at 305 pounds.
That's one of the things DJ Durkin said about Wormley. He can really run for a big man. 6'5", fraction over 300. Wildcat. Damian Terry, backup quarterback, sophomore from Erie, Pennsylvania. Got just enough for the Michigan State first down.
See that coming in vogue in college football. We saw it last week, the Wildcat formation with Tyrone Swoops in Texas. Urban Meyer uses it in the red zone with J.T. Barrett. When you have good players, you try to get them on the field to use their talents.
file that one away too, because we've seen over the years Michigan State loves under Coach Antonio some of those trick plays, and they had Connor Cook on the field, so a double pass could be coming later on.
On 1st and 10, L.J. Scott tackled by Willie Henry. Not only has Michigan shut out its last 3 opponents, but they haven't allowed BYU, Maryland, or Northwestern into the red zone. There have been only 6 opponent trips into the red zone in the first 6 games of the year against DJ Durkin's defense. 3 by Utah, 1 by Oregon State, and 1 by UNLV. Connor Cook in the flat, batted down. Chris Wormley, who grew up in Toledo, Ohio, a Michigan fan.
Sean, you get the feeling in this game, in big games, and both coaches have a reputation. We're going to see a trick play, I think, on special teams before this game is over. And by the way, great recognition by Wormley to get his hands in the air on that little 3-step drop and coming off his pass rush, getting the throwing lane.
Drive of 8 minutes now from their own 2. Cook throws, and it's batted down by Jordan Lewis.
I tell you, I've watched a lot of corners this year, and there's not too many like Jordan Lewis. Again, winning the coverage against Burbridge, and that's a matchup all day, Todd, that we'll be watching.
Yeah, and Chris, what's interesting is it seemed like Cook rushed that just a little bit. I know the rush was coming, but he probably should have waited a split second longer and put a little air under that one, let his receiver Burbridge run under it.
Yeah, also it was a lazy route by Burbridge. It's too easy to cover.
They're going for it on 4th and 8. They're in field goal range, but they've had a lot of problems on special teams, including in field goals. High snap, a blitz from Michigan. Cook throws into single coverage, way out of bounds. Intended for Aaron Burbridge, with Jordan Lewis in coverage again. What a battle they're waging head-to-head. And after 16 plays, Michigan State turns it over on downs. Well, plenty of rest for that Michigan offense. Michigan State had the ball for 8 minutes and 5 seconds and 16 plays. These are 2 teams that like to possess the football. Michigan has had the time of possession edge in every game so far this year. Busting through the middle, Sione Homa, the fullback. Across midfield and down, they'll spot him down at the 45-yard line of Michigan State. The true freshman safety, Grayson Miller, might have saved the touchdown.
Which when Harbaugh says, hey, guess what? We're going to put in a fullback trap at the first day of spring practice. Michigan State didn't think about it. Quick hitter by Homa, who burst through the hole. Excellent kick-out block by the pulling guard. Homa's getting a lot of play. Splitting time with Joe Carriage. Good blocker, special teams guy, getting rewarded with the run.
Grayson Miller, a true freshman from Georgetown, Kentucky. They're also beat up in the secondary. Pressure. Jake Rudock threw it up for grabs, a ricochet, and Davion Smith couldn't catch it. Lawrence Thomas right on his belly. Shalik Calhoun, wearing number 43 today, put the pressure on Rudock.
A smart play by Shalik Calhoun, also going low to avoid any type of head hit. Thomas with the deflection. One thing you can say about Michigan State's defense, they run and pursue the football. So any type of misdirection, reverse jet sweep, or something like that, Michigan do that to counter the pursuit of that Spartan defense.
Ed Davis hurt early in their preseason practices, a knee injury. Was preseason All Big Ten. Played the whole season without him. Karan Higdon, the freshman, into the game. Joel Heath made the tackle. And I think, Chris, it's indicative of how far the program of Michigan State has come in recent years under Mark D'Antonio. Because of the success, they've been able to recruit not only better players, but more terrific players. He said before Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, they were going to get the guys that they wanted to get, and we'd get the others. Now they're in there with those schools on the very best players. They have a lot of depth.
Yeah, and they do that, and Sean, and also that they do a great job of identifying what a Spartan is. and developing that talent once it gets to campus. You know, Michigan State had the reputation of being, you know, they were good every 3 or 4 years. Now they have that consistency going, and it is because of recruiting and excellent coaching.
Timeout Michigan with 10 seconds to go in the quarter. 10 seconds to go, first quarter. No score. Michigan with 3rd down and 9 at the Michigan State 43. Jake Rudock dumps it off, complete. A.J. Williams, the tight end. Marked out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
It's a good job of A.J. Williams being patient coming across, and everybody loses coverage because they're playing man. When you lose big A.J. Williams sneaking across the field, the result's a first down. That's the first mental error for the Spartans defense.
Jim Harbaugh loves the tight ends. Number 7, Michigan State. And number 12, Michigan. Jake Rudock just completed a 21-yard pass to A.J. Williams. 1st and 10, Michigan from the State 23. Ty Isaac, the transfer from USC, his first carry of the day, down to the 20 for a pickup of 3. John Reschke made the tackle, and he's done nice work as the fill-in for Ed Davis at linebacker this year.
He's getting better with each game, and Reschke, a very instinctive player. Boy, it's nice for both teams, Sean. They have a stable of tailbacks, so they have the luxury of riding a hot hand. The guy isn't going, it's the next guy up, and that usually motivates that player.
Ron Higdon, the running back now, true freshman from Sarasota. Rudock, the play fake to him, throws on the run, open receiver, and a first down. J.U. Chesson, his first catch, first by a wide receiver for Michigan today. Good for 11 yards.
It's a good job by J.U. Chesson settling down, finding the open space, and Rudock able to throw across his body accurately, Todd.
Yeah, and Rudock hanging in there. We've seen a lot more patience, poise, and confidence out of him in the last few games. He's finally starting to get this offense. He knows where receivers are going to pop open, and that was a great example right there.
Well, his receivers and Jake are starting to see the same thing, which they did not do earlier on when we were here against BYU.
1st and goal from the 8. Davion Smith breaks tackles and pulls his way down to the 2-yard line. Arjun Colhoun chopped him down for Michigan State.
Everybody knows what Davion Smith brings to the table. Yards after contact, toughness, and always falling forward. An excellent job by that offensive line handling that front 7 of Michigan State on that particular play. That's what he's known for, toughness, grit. That's what his team's known for right now.
Sione Homa down to the goal line, in for a touchdown.
There's something to be said about confidence in your team, in your offensive line. Running a fullback dive from that far off is a symbol to his team and to the players and to Jim Harbaugh that we're going to win the physical battle and we're going to prove it to you.
And they ask the fullbacks to do so much hard work and so much within the offense that they get rewarded by carrying the ball a lot more than most fullbacks do around the country. 2nd touchdown of the year for Homa. They're making sure that he made it into the end zone before going down.
You can see balls cross, and he's a tough player. Been around a long time. Really only contributed on special teams. Then when a coach that came in, you know, that utilizes a fullback, Homa's got his opportunity.
Tom Kissinger is the replay official.
After further review, the ruling on the field of touchdown stand.
And the first points of the game for Michigan. 2-yard run for Sione Homa, senior from Salt Lake City. 72-yard drive in 8 plays. And Homa had the biggest play, the 27-yard run on the quick hitter. A.J. Williams, a 21-yard catch. Kenny Allen kicks the extra point. Seven 0 Michigan early in the second quarter in Ann Arbor. 7 straight games over 100 yards for Leonard Fournette. Of course, Florida playing without the suspended quarterback Will Greer tonight.
Yeah, a lot of times, Sean, when you lose a player like that, that can galvanize your football team. We'll see if they'll rally around.
Returnable kick. Kenny Allen's kick down to R.J. Shelton at the 2. R.J. Shelton, a nice run back. 29-yard kickoff return officially for R.J. Shelton. And now Connor Cook took them on a drive of more than 8 minutes before they turned it over on downs the last time they had the ball. Gerald Holmes, tough run. Looked like they had him stacked up at the line of scrimmage. He squirted ahead for 7. Michigan crowding the line of scrimmage and driving Holmes back. He got just across the line of scrimmage. Willie Henry, Ryan Glasgow at the bottom of the pile.
Well, coming in this game, we talked about the matchup, skill against skill. Connor Cook loves to throw the 50-50 ball. Believes his guys will make a play, but right now, Jordan Lewis, Todd, has been outstanding in man-to-man coverage.
And they're moving Lewis around from one side to the other. Wherever Burbridge is going, Lewis is following. That's how important this matchup is in Michigan's eyes.
And that's when it becomes personal between the defensive back and the wide receiver. They have a Q run here, Sean. Connor Cook can run the football.
He flips it to Burbridge, who is buried behind the line of scrimmage. Royce Jenkins Stone, the Buck linebacker, is taken over for the injured Mario Ojemudia, who is their most dynamic pass rusher. Jim Harbaugh not pleased with John O'Neill. And Jenkins Stone's done a nice job since Ojemudia went out in the Maryland game with a torn Achilles.
Well, he did a great job of playing off the chop block of the offensive Pendleton, the fullback, gets back on his feet. Then you see the pursuing Wolverines are there to seal the deal. Getting off the field on 3rd down again.
Once again, the backup punter Tyler O'Connor is in there. His second effort of the day, another low line drive. Fielded on a hop by Jabril Peppers. And he will not get away from Chris Fry. After being in the top 5 in the final poll each of the last 2 years, Michigan about a touchdown favorite today with what they've done off the 5-7 season a year ago. 5-1 entering today. Davion Smith picked his way forward to the 23, a gain of 5. Arjun Colhoun made the tackle.
Oh, I wouldn't think that, and you credit Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he's the head man. He gets the credit. He gets the blame if and when it ever comes. You know, what Jim can do, what separates him and why he's a great coach, is that he gets his players playing to their maximum ability when the lights are on. And that's seen in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams.
They scored in each phase of the game last week against Northwestern. Look out. Amara Darboh dropped for a big loss. Back inside the 20. Well defended by a Michigan State defense that hasn't been quite what it has been in recent years. They've been in the top 10 in the country in total defense each of the last 4 seasons. The only school in the country that can make that claim. They started today 56th in the country in total defense. 57th now. And Rudock is sacked by Shalik Calhoun.
Well, he's a pure pass rusher. I know Todd McShay will have him high on his draft board. But Shalik Calhoun at the top of your screen just comes with a little twist. Then what he does very well, if his first pass rush does not move, he's got a great counter move. And I like the fact that he can close with speed.
4-yard loss on the play to Darboh. 5-yard loss on the sack. There's Blake O'Neill, whose 80-yard punt in the first quarter was 2 yards short of the school record of 82 for Monty Robbins in 1986 in a game at Hawaii. And that punt will roll to a stop at the 43-yard line. with 8:44 to go in the first half.
Only for their confidence, Sean, they need to get something going here because Michigan's defense, because of their shutout streak, they have to get some type of points with this type of field position.
On first down, the handoff to L.J. Scott. Stopped after a gain of 1. Desmond Morgan leading the defense. 50-year senior playing in his last game. Wearing the number 3 Warren High School at West Ottawa. Started his career as number 44. Then when they went to wearing legendary numbers, he wore 48 in honor of Gerald Ford, who later, after starring at Michigan, obviously became president of the United States. Jim Harbaugh decided to put those numbers back in retirement. And now Morgan's number 3. Excellent student as well, 3.4 GPA in education. Wants to be a high school principal like his dad and grandfather. Connor Cook slides down under a hit, and now there's a flag perhaps for that second hit. Looked like he ducked under the first one, but then got hit late after he slid to the ground.
It's a good concept and a good call by Dave Warner, the offensive coordinator. The running game's being stifled. Spread him out and run the Q run, which was a nice little counter trap set up for Connor Cook.
Personal foul, plus targeting, defense.
Ooh.
15 yards from the end of the run, automatic first down. The ruling is under further review. After further review, the ruling of the field on targeting stands. Number 35 is disqualified.
Wow. And it was Bolden, the second man in. Bolden still at about 30 yards to go to get to the tunnel. Michigan State first and 10 of the 24. The slant, good for another first down to Aaron Burbridge. And for the first time in 4 games, the opponent is in the red zone against Michigan.
Now this time, a notch goes to Burbridge, beat Jordan Lewis on a nice little inside cut on inside release. Jordan Lewis cannot give up that inside to the wide side of the field. He get a pre-snap read on Burbridge's split, who was outside the numbers to run that slant. Cut off that inside.
13-yard gain, already 6 receptions for Burbridge, senior from Farmington Hills, Michigan. L.J. Scott finds a hole, finds the end zone. Touchdown, Spartans. L.J. Scott, already his 7th rushing touchdown of the year. He scored the game winner in the final minute last week at Rutgers. Michael Geiger the extra point. Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Todd McShay back at Michigan Stadium. First points allowed by the Michigan defense since their 4th quarter of their game against UNLV. 3 straight shutouts since. And more than a quarter and a half today before they allow points on the touchdown by L.J. Scott, freshman from Hubbard, Ohio, who grew up an Ohio State fan. Was recruited by the Buckeyes, but he said when he visited Michigan State, it felt like home to him. J.U. Chesson back deep for the kickoff from Kevin Cronin. Jabril Peppers will handle it. Jabril Peppers! And again, the coverage woes continue for the Spartans. So sound on special teams throughout the Mark D'Antonio era, but by his own admission, very shaky this year, and the problems continue.
Well, the kickoff return is like running an offensive running play. Everybody's assigned a man in a gap. Nobody blocking behind the football. Jabril Peppers explosive with the ball in his hands. They win a lot of games. That's how they're built. Play special teams, play defense, run the ball, don't turn it over. That's their identity.
49-yard kickoff return. A great field position for Jake Rudock and the Michigan offense from the Spartans 48. He comes out throwing and fires a deep ball. Caught at the 25. J.U.Chesson.
Part of the game plan, playing Michigan State, attack the middle of the field on first down with downfield throwing. They want to get their safeties involved in their running game. You got J.U.Chesson matched up on Grayson Miller, and it's no match. And a great throw and a great read by Rudock.
Yeah, that's part of what makes Rudock so smart. He recognized that mismatch early and was able to get the ball right where it had to go.
Attack them in the middle of the field. If their safety is going to be up, go at them deep.
23-yard gain. Back to the ground with Davion Smith. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern time. 2nd and 5 Michigan. Rudock play action. Couldn't find anybody. Chased by Joel Heath and threw it short and incomplete for Karan Higdon.
A little bit of growth right there in the offense for Jake Rudock. Not trying to force the football, understanding the situation, and throw it away, live another down. Smart.
Third down and 5. Jim Harbaugh involved in the play calling with the offensive coordinator Tim Drebno. Rudock steps into the throw and it's incomplete. John Reschke had the coverage. Intended for Jake Butt. The field goal team is going to come out for Michigan.
Well, discipline as not only as an offensive player but as a defensive player. They're running a little smash route. Reschke does a good job of understanding that he has underneath coverage coming in with that right arm to knock it away. Excellent.
Big concern at the start of the year for Jim Harbaugh was the field goal team. Really every facet of the operation. Kenny Allen's a new kicker. He's had a very good start to his senior season. Walk-on put on scholarship at the beginning of the year. Now 8 out of 10 as he boots a 38-yard field goal. There's Mark D'Antonio 6-2 against the Wolverines. Lost the first one in 2007. Mike Hart uttered those famous words about Michigan State being the Wolverines' little brother. D'Antonio and the Spartans have won 6 out of 7 since. R.J. Shelton out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Connor Cook, can they take advantage of Michigan being without 2 starting linebackers now? Delton Williams, the ball carrier. Jared Wilson, the safety, made the tackle. James Ross sitting out the first half for a targeting ejection last week against Northwestern. And now Joe Bolden, Michigan's leading tackler and team leader, co-captain, ejected in the first half of this game for targeting on the last drive. Tom Kissinger felt that Bolden lowered his head despite the fact that he was being thrown to the ground. He lowered his head and intentionally made contact with the head and neck area with a defenseless player. Cook throws, low throw. Is it a catch from McGarrett Kings? Yes, say the officials. And a first down for MSU at the 42.
Well, this is what sets Connor Cook apart to see if we'll see if this is a catch. Is recognizing blitz. They had outside pressure coming from the outside. Connor Cook understands he's responsible for that blitzer and understands where his route is. McGarrett Kings did a good job of recognizing blitz, being on the same page, and executing under pressure.
First catch for Kings, good for 9 yards. Delton Williams banged around, hard-earned yard. Jabril Peppers up from his safety spot. Desmond Morgan, Chris Wormley all involved. Decided to come back for his senior year. Swings it out wide for Delton Williams. That is a forward pass. Not by much, dropped by Williams. And Todd, where does he rank among the draft-eligible quarterbacks?
Well, we've got him at number 2 right now, and there's not really a big gap. I think he has a very good chance to be a first-round draft pick. And you know, I think, as you mentioned, he decided to come back this year. I think it was a very smart decision because based off of what I've seen so far this season, he's taken his game to the next level.
You know, Sean and Todd, it's the one thing that would bother me, and I know it's bothered some scouts, is why he was not elected a team captain. So they'll have to figure that out, and Connor's going to have an answer to that question.
Third down and 8. Michigan brings a blitz, and they get to Cook. Chris Wormley sacks him back inside the 35.
Well, Delton Williams is going to come off Chris Wormley, who's going to come free. Delton Williams just got into the ball game last week. That's number 22. First of all, it's a great design and great timing by Michigan State on the blitz. Delton Williams steps inside, vacates where Wormley's coming, and it's an easy sack. When you're not playing, you're not used to blitz pickup, that's what happens. Mental error.
Second sack of the year for Wormley, just the 5th allowed by Michigan State. The 4 entering the day, the fewest in the Big Ten, and 8th fewest allowed in the country. Tyler O'Connor's punt. Jabril Peppers running room to the right. Whoa, gets a block at midfield. And down in Michigan State territory at the 40-yard line.
Thomas, number 25, you know, he gets a hard block. I think he makes a mistake. Watch, because he is going to block behind the football. He had no shot at getting Peppers. So what he should do is turn to go to the next level. See how Peppers is running away from Willis? Thomas comes in, and it's a referee game, good effort, all that stuff. But a coaching point there is don't block behind the ball, turn and get to the next level and pick up somebody that may make the tackle down the field.
41-yard punt, 35-yard return. So again, terrific field position for Jake Rudock. The 41-yard line of Michigan State. Power football on first down. And Davion Smith stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Part of a 9-0 national championship season for Michigan. Ron Higdon did well to hang on to the ball. Demetrius Cox drives him back. Bump Elliott, Bo Schembechler, Gary Moeller, Lloyd Carr, Rich Rodriguez, and Brady Hoke all lost their first game as Michigan head coach against Michigan State.
That's amazing to think about when you think of the overall record between the two schools.
Jim Harbaugh has already defeated 2 ranked teams. That's 1 fewer than Brady Hoke had on his resume in his 4 years as head coach. And the same number Rich Rodriguez had in 3 seasons, which, as you see, Jim Harbaugh had his cleats on.
Yeah.
Jim wishes he could still play. He can't, so coaching's the next best thing.
But play a little zone behind it. I'm going to drop to the sticks because I don't think Rudock's going to take a shot over the top. I think his goal is to move the sticks. So as a coordinator, you're guessing what you think he's going to do and what the percentages tell you as Harlan Barnett is contemplating.
3rd down and 7. Michigan has used its last timeout with 1:25 to go in the half. And now as they line up, Michigan State wants to use a timeout. Jabril Peppers is on the field on offense for Michigan. Ordinarily a defensive player. That might have gotten the attention of the Michigan State coaches. And they use another timeout, Michigan State on defense. And you wonder if it's because of the presence of Jabril Peppers.
Well, you do have to account for him. He's an explosive athlete. And I like the timeout because you're in a crucial part of the game and you don't want to make a mistake or an alignment mistake. And you have to account for the dangerous Peppers. So it's a good call by Mark D'Antonio. Get it right. Alignment and assignment, especially with a young secondary. So they're moving people around and they're forced to play guys that might not be ready to play or mix match. That's why when you're in a crucial situation, you take a timeout to make sure everybody understands what you're doing.
So finally they snap it, the play fake one way, and they try to set up a screen to the other, and pressure from Michigan State blew that play up. Intended for Jake Butt, but Rudock worried about getting it off without getting clocked, and that's good timeout usage. They used 2, but they stopped the critical 3rd down and 7. And you saw Coach D'Antonio calling for the safe punt here.
Credit Darian Harris, Sean. They faked the double screen and tried to sneak Butt on that delay route. Darian Harris playing discipline on his man. Wasn't fooled at all.
R.J. Shelton back for the punt. Blake O'Neill, graduate transfer from Weber State. Boy, he's made an art form of knocking it down inside the 10-yard line. They'll spot that one at the 8. Well, you would think here Michigan State would be very conservative with only 1 timeout. Gerald Holmes almost busted one. Yanked down by Channing Stribling. And now Mark D'Antonio says with that play, let's pick up the pace a little bit.
No, I think you got to be very careful in this type of situation. You played well in the first half. You weathered some storms. You want to make sure you make good decisions and not give the Wolverines any momentum.
Neither team has turned it over. Cook on target, first down. Josiah Price makes the catch. Flags are down.
Pass interference. Offense number 82. Half the distance from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
Price, the big returnee this week, missed the last 2 weeks with an ankle injury against Purdue and Rutgers. He's a favorite target to Cook, particularly in the red zone.
Boy, you know, right here is 82 Price, and you know this is what Michigan does so well, is they play man-to-man, and Price comes in, and that's a push-off. I mean, you can't do that. You have to be a little bit more subtle if you do that. But that was a good call by the back judge, seeing that. And that's what Michigan does, Sean. They make it very difficult for not only tight ends, but the skilled players to create any separation. That's why they're excelling on defense, because they play man so well.
Play clock down to 1 as they snap it. Gerald Holmes. And that will be the last play of the half, you would think. Ryan Glasgow and DeMonte Thomas combine on the stop. Michigan State had the ball for 19 minutes to 11 for Michigan, but managed just 7 points. 10-7 Wolverines at the break. Cook had 8 out of 16 in the first half. No touchdowns or interceptions, just 1 for 4 when Michigan blitzed. Joe Bolden, leading tackler for the season for Michigan, ejected for targeting in the first half. He will not play in the second half. James Ross, though, will join the team. He had to watch the first half from the locker room. He was allowed to warm up before the game, but was not on the sideline by rule in the first half. He'll play in the second half. And Ben Gideon, who's a backup linebacker, DJ Durkin says they consider him like a starter. He plays a lot, and he'll get a lot of the playing time for Bolden.
Yeah, Ben Gideon's more of an inside backer than an outside backer, and that's what he was playing in replacement of Ross. So he'll be back to his natural position.
Kevin Cronin kicks off. Jabril Peppers from the 4. He got flattened. Monte Nicholson, the big hit, shy of the 25-yard line. Here's Todd McShay.
In that first half, Michigan was outgained by the Spartans, but they had hidden yards and special teams, and they took advantage of big opportunities. Here, you're going to see, we talked about earlier in the game, when Michigan State brings a safety down, Jake Rudock recognizes it and takes a shot down the middle of the field towards the right side and is able to connect on it. Here, on a big third down after a timeout, taking advantage, getting it to his big tight end, 84, A.J. Williams, running down the sideline. Converting in key situations will be huge again for this Michigan team in the second half.
Being efficient in their play calling and choices of where to throw the football.
Ty Isaac is the running back on the first play of the second half, and John Reschke stopped him very close to the line of scrimmage. Lawrence Thomas also in on the play for Michigan State. There's number 8, former linebacker and fullback at Michigan State. He's settled in at defensive end, and he's a good one.
It's a natural position for him. Very athletic. Tough matchup for an offensive tackle and tight end.
Davion Smith now back in at running back. Joe Carriage is the fullback. Smith stopped just short of the first down by Riley Bulla. Third generation Spartan. Grandfather Hank, father Shane, brother Max all played at MSU.
A nice job of Ben Braden with the kick out block. Davion Smith, he will run north and south, and he tries to punish the tackler. Much rather be the hitter rather than a hittee.
And Graham Glasgow, nice job there in the center. He's improved as this season's progressed, and I think they're going to try to run the football behind him. I think he's had one of his best career games today.
He's a next level center in my eyes, Todd.
Third down, less than a yard. They hand it off to the fullback Carriage, and Michigan State was ready for that. I don't think he got to the first down marker.
It's an all-out sellout by Michigan State. Pinching in all the defensive linemen. You're going to see Shalik Calhoun, number 43, coming down and beating the block of Poggi and cutting him off. Outstanding get-off by Shalik Calhoun. That's what makes him such a dangerous player, is his great get-off. And Poggi has no shot at cutting him off on the inside.
They are going to measure Shalik Calhoun, one of the best defensive ends in the country. 2 times first team All Big Ten, probably will be again this year. Twice a second team All-American. One of their team captains. Well, they are just short. John O'Neill had to take a long look at it before he could ascertain that it's not a first down.
Yeah, punt the football. Absolutely punt the football. If you want to try a hard count, fine, but punt the football. Why? Because you're playing great defense and you're built on field position. Don't get greedy in this situation.
Well, at the moment, the offense is still on the field for Jim Harbaugh. He prides himself on his teams playing tough, hard-nosed, physical football. In the mold of his coach, Bo Schembechler. Now they are going to send the punt team out. And I agree with you. This is absolutely the right thing to do in a game like this. You've played great defense, as well as any team in the country this year. Put them back out there.
It's your identity. Punt and play defense, score when you have field position.
80-yard punt in the first quarter for Blake O'Neill, the longest punt of the year in college football at the top level. R.J. Shelton caught this one, goes out of bounds at the 29-yard line. L.J. Scott, the ball carrier on first down. But in notes to the rule, targeting means a player takes aim at an opponent for purposes of attacking with forcible contact. In the opinion of the replay official, Tom Kissinger, he backed up what the official saw on the field. And I think one of the points to be made, Chris, it's a point of emphasis in the rule book, says if in doubt, it's a foul.
Yeah, it is. But the point I had was that Jack Conklin is finishing his block, doing his job, kind of push Bolden down into it. And I've had 325 pounds push me. And there's nothing you can do to stop that when that happens.
In the opinion of the replay booth and the officials on the field, Bolden still intentionally turned his head and away to target. R.J. Shelton, incomplete pass. Crowd thought it might be a lateral, but it's an incomplete forward pass as Shelton dropped the ball from Connor Cook.
A little different formation to start this series for Michigan State. The play you got to be able to make. Jabril Pepper splits the double team, but if he times that right, he's at least 3 yards down the field. But look at number 5, Jabril Peppers. They're so valuable to this team. He can play man-to-man. He returns. He's an outstanding open field tackler, and he plays with great instincts at that safety position.
Did not appear that Shelton had possession. Incomplete pass, 3rd down and 8.
Burbridge has been his target guy, Sean, up here at the top. That's the matchup.
Cook looks in that direction, throws down the seam off the hand of Burbridge and incomplete.
Well, this is the matchup. I mean, this is your money guy on a money down. He beats Jordan Lewis inside and goes up with one hand when he should have went up with 2.
And I just think all day long, Chris, we've seen these Michigan defensive backs be more physical than the Michigan State wide receivers. And there, you're right, you've got to go up with 2 hands, and I couldn't tell from my angle if Lewis is holding his arm down or not.
He did, Sean. Jordan Lewis did a great job, Todd did do a great job of pinning that arm against the body. Fake.
Here's a fake. The backup quarterback and new punter, Tyler O'Connor, dives from the marker. It doesn't look like he got there. Well, Jim Harbaugh said during the week and again yesterday, when you play against Mark D'Antonio, particularly in big games, you have to be very alert for trick plays and fakes and special teams. So they had this in mind, that it was a distinct possibility starting today.
We're short of the line to gain. First down.
Well, we called this. We knew what Jim Harbaugh told us in his history. A trick play was coming in special teams. I thought he should have threw the football. He had Medeiros open. Number 88 right here is going to be open on an outcut. Now he thought he had the ability to use his speed to get to that first down. But again, when you're playing man-to-man, and there's great effort by Desmond pulling him, Morgan to come make that play. I mean, that's a senior making a great play in a great game. Beautiful effort, both guys.
So the fake doesn't work, and I'm with you. It looked like the pass play was the better option. O'Connor on the run didn't want to try it. From the 38. Davion Smith to the 30 for a gain of 8. Darian Harris made the tackle, and it goes back to the point made by Todd McShay at the half. Not a lot of production on offense, but special teams have helped flip the field, and they've taken advantage of the short field this afternoon.
Yeah, it's not a bad call by Coach D'Antonio because your defense is playing well, and you got to expect to challenge them to hold up.
Smith on 2nd and 2, first down. To the 26-yard line. Joel Heath made the tackle.
Does this guy ever lose a yard? I mean, every single time we've watched, this is our 3rd game now, every tape we've watched, Chris, he's just so good at running behind his pads and finishing runs.
Yeah, and guess what's happening too? The offensive line is starting to gain confidence, and they're starting to win and sustain blocks a little bit longer than they did in the first half.
He hasn't had a negative yardage play today. Bill Peppers back on the field on offense. The whistles before the snap.
Ball start. Offense number 86. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
J.U. Chesson commits the 5th penalty assessed against Michigan today. Peppers, as you see, still on the field with the offense. They flip it to him. Rudock did. Jabril Peppers down the sideline and shoved out inside the 5.
Sometimes value is off what you do. Davion Smith is going to get the key block to spring Peppers on a jet sweep. Team defense.
We saw earlier, Chris, 2 timeouts called when Peppers was on the field. And I just watched the defensive back, starting with Arjun Colhoun, talking to all the other DBs, saying, watch the double pass, watch the double pass. So I think just the fear of that there led to the defense playing with a lot of discipline and gave him the opportunity to turn the corner.
He hadn't played on offense until today. Davion Smith reaches for the goal line. Touchdown, Michigan. Peppers got 28, and then Davion Smith the final 3. Let's make sure it was a touchdown.
Right knee looked like he was down about at the 1-yard line.
And they are holding the extra point while the replay booth looks at it. Yeah, you're right. The right knee's down.
On the field was a touchdown. That ruling is under further review.
I think it's going to come back just shy of the goal line, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you though, I'm not worried if I'm Michigan because I just keep feeding Davion Smith because I don't know if there's a Spartan that can deny him right now because he's got the confidence and the offensive line does. Now on the goal line, Sean, for a defender, you got to tackle high. If you tackle low, what happens is those guys like Davion Smith propel over the top of you and get that extra valuable yard.
We're told those pictures are synced up frame by frame, so you can see the knee is clearly down on the left. It's obscured a bit on the right. But the ball is short of the goal line. Great work by our production and technical crews. Our producer today, Bo Garrett, our director, Mike Schwab. And I think Tom Kissinger should have had everything he needed there to overrule the call on the field.
The ball should be at the 1 yard line.
Davion Smith told us yesterday his brother Maurice played briefly at Michigan State. Brother Lance played at Wisconsin. He grew up tough.
After further review, the runner's knee was down before the ball broke the plane of the goal line. As a result, it'll be second down at the half-yard line. We'll wind the clock on the ready for play.
Davion has 4 older brothers and a younger sister. From Warren, Ohio, near Youngstown. He said he came here because he really liked Brady Hoke. And the players we talked to all yesterday love what's happening here with Jim Harbaugh, but to a man expressed their appreciation for Brady Hoke, who played a big part in bringing a lot of very good players here. You could make the argument perhaps they didn't get as much out of them as they should have, but a lot of these guys were highly recruited players who suffered through a horrible 5-7 season a year ago, plagued by turnovers. They try again. Smith, no signal yet. He's certainly across the goal line. Touchdown.
That's my point about tackling high. Watch as he shoots in here. You're going to have Bulla come in and shoot down low. Now he gets tripped up a little bit, but you have to stay high on the goal line as much as you can.
You know, his body was across the goal line. That ball looks like it's behind him from the first angle we had. Yeah, there's the ball on the ground.
And arms are on the ground also, yeah.
I think they're going to stop and look at this one again.
Yeah.
The ruling on the field was a touchdown.
Shoulders go across the line, but the ball is lagging behind his upper body because of that contact down low from Riley Bulla.
Good job of penetrating by Riley Bulla, getting knocked down. Malik Collins, number 4, came over and built a wall on that goal line.
And sometimes the replay officials come in before the game and say hello, ask us if we have any questions. We always tell them, well, we hope you have a nice uneventful day over there. And that has not been the case today. Tom Kissinger and Jamie Nicholson.
Does it take them a while? They want to make sure that they get the spot exactly on.
After further review, the ball did not break the plane of the goal line. The ball will be placed at the 1-foot line. It'll be third down on the left hash. The clock will start on the ready for play.
Well, the on-field officials can't feel good about this. It's 2 plays in a row. They called it a touchdown when it wasn't. Ooh. Apparently that fan thinks these officials are number 1. All right.
I'd sneak it here.
Well, you just said you'd bet on Davion Smith.
Yeah.
Oh. They bet on Sione Homa, and he gets stuffed for the moment. Well, how long will they give him? They're already blowing the whistle. You wonder about forward progress being stopped. Whoa, they weren't blowing the whistles. They were running in to mark it, but they never blew the whistle. Looked like the officials were running in to spot the ball down, and Mark D'Antonio's wondering about that. And this is the anniversary of the Bush push. And Davion Smith.
The forward progress is stopped.
Yeah.
Right there. That ball should be whistled dead.
I'm surprised, guys. I'm 11 yards away, and no whistles were blown, but the refs were coming in, and they were pulling guys
the ball.
Exactly.
Riley Bulla did a great job of coming high that time and stopping Homa. Homa never quit, though. That's the thing.
Well, for the 3rd play in a row, we have the replay review.
There's no whistle, so you have to keep playing through the whistle. I'm thinking Sean right. They couldn't find where Homa was. By the time they found him, was in the end zone. But Bullitt did a great job of filling that A gap, taking him high, preventing him from going over the top.
We were here years ago when there was a controversial replay review. Michigan was granted a touchdown by the replay booth when the player who scored it leaped in the air and landed on the pylon. It shouldn't have been a touchdown. It was overturned in the booth, and Mark D'Antonio was justifiably livid. The league wound up apologizing for the mistake the next day.
Now, I did not hear a whistle.
No, and that's my mistake, because I just assumed when they were running in from the sideline that they were stopping the play, and they weren't, apparently.
After further review, the ruling on the field of touchdown stands.
And the third time is a charm. That took a long time to go a very short distance. But for Jim Harbaugh was worth the wait. So the fake punt stopped a yard short. Michigan goes 38 yards for Homa's second touchdown of the game, and the extra point is good for Kenny Allen. 9:17 to go, third quarter. Michigan leading 17-7. Michigan now leads 17-7. We mentioned at the top of the telecast, 42 of the last 45 years, the team that has rushed for the most yards has won the game. Neither team piling up big numbers on the ground, but Michigan with the slight edge. Still a long way to go. 9:17 left, third quarter. Kenny Allen kicks off. And R.J. Shelton couldn't field it. Haven't won a conference title since 2004. Undefeated, as is Michigan State, 2-0 in Big Ten play entering today. Gerald Holmes picked his way to the 28, a gain of 3. Chris Wormley made the tackle.
I think right now, if you're Michigan State, you want to operate maybe a little quicker tempo. I know that's not who you are, but sometimes it'll help your quarterback get in a rhythm, because right now, this offense and this quarterback, there's been no rhythm established throughout the whole game.
And Chris, you got to beat man coverage. I mean, at this point, it really comes down to that, because you're allowing them to walk up safeties and get flexible and do a bunch of things defensively. These receivers have to get open.
Cook the inside fake and throws complete to Burbridge. It's been almost the entire focus for Cook among the wide receiver core. Jordan Lewis made the tackle at the 41.
And at least he gains a little bit of separation and gives Cook a tight little window to throw the ball into. Does a nice job putting it there. They need to continue to do this, whether it's rub routes, bunch formation. They've got to find ways to get these receivers open, because right now it's their only form of offense, but they're not effectively separating consistently enough. And
Michigan is eliminating any yards after catch. If they do catch it, they're right on them right now.
Connor Cook, design roll, has some running room, instead throws. Is that a catch at the 32-yard line? No, out of bounds. Intended for R.J. Shelton. Cook had a lot of running room along the near sideline.
Well, it's a good job. Ooh. It's close. I don't know if his toe was on the sidelines or not. R.J. Shelton working back to the football. That left foot is in bounds in toe, and it should be a catch. And a crucial part of the game. Wow. There you go.
The replay booth's going to stop it.
The ruling on the previous pass was an incomplete pass at the sideline. That ruling is under further review.
We mentioned they're predominantly a run on first down team. That was just their 5th first down pass. 19 plays today. And they started out 3 passes on their first 5 first downs. I guess the question is, by the time he has possession of it, is he still in bounds?
I think right there is possession of the ball, and his toe is dragging in bounds. It's interesting, the matchup. Michigan is committed to putting peppers on Shelton. Lewis on Burbridge. And his left foot to me is catch, and he maintained through the catch.
DJ Durkin, the defensive coordinator there, almost acting like a defender as well, throwing his arms up.
Coaches with a lot of energy. And the thing I like about DJ,
I think the officials will tell him to back up too, though.
Yeah. The thing I like about him, though, you talk to his players, that he demands their best every day. The intensity has to be at a certain level, or he'll stop and run it over. And he's going to be a fine head coach one day.
And sooner rather than later. Played at Bowling Green's, been around some terrific coaches. Urban Meyer. Went to Notre Dame, worked with Greg Madison, who was the defensive coordinator here last year, was retained by Jim Harbaugh. And you mentioned it earlier, defense wasn't the problem here last year. They were in the top 20 in the nation in both passing defense and rushing defense. And they were 27th in scoring defense, and a lot of that was because they had to cover up for so many turnovers.
Review, the pass was completed at the sideline at the 32-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line on the right hash. The clock will start on the ready for play.
I mean, one of the things that they're cracking down on is the sideline, and DJ Durkin there needs to be careful in that white space.
Yeah, you get in trouble for that. Now they can flag you for sideline interference. Now he's getting back out of the white, and again, I think they get a warning first and then let him go.
There's Greg Madison. DJ Durkin said he's learned a tremendous amount throughout the years from Greg Madison, one of the great D-line coaches in America as well. Gerald Holmes, the ball carrier. That's a big ruling from the replay booth, a 27-yard gain.
Well, Michigan State's used to this type of game. Sean, they've played in tight games all year. And, you know, Connor Cook tends to thrive in these type of situations, and they certainly have to answer the last punch that Michigan threw at Holmes' touchdown.
Well, it hasn't been easy or pretty on the way to 6-0, but as Mark D'Antonio says, every week we found a way to win, and that's the bottom line. Find a way to win. Cook, the pump fake, has the man open. Touchdown, Michigan State. McGarrett Kings.
Talked about spreading the ball around. McGarrett Kings beats number 34 Clark on a little double move. An outstanding patience. Here's the double move. Just a little post corner route. Clark jumps it. Connor Cook delivers a strike, Todd.
Yeah, he dropped it right in there. Perfect spot in the ball, perfect timing. The second he saw that cornerback take just a tiny bit of a false step, that ball was out.
Quick strike for Michigan State. 75 yards in 5 plays, and the extra point good for Michael Geiger. Michigan State's never won 7 out of 8. They're within 3. After the touchdown, Kevin Cronin rolled the kickoff down, trying to help the coverage. Doesn't help much. J.U. Chesson all the way to the 36. Well, this rivalry means so much to so many. Earlier this week, 94-year-old Michigan alum Albert Wistert sent words of encouragement. Jim Harbaugh played this video for his team.
This is Al Ox Wistert, who played at Michigan way back in the early 40s. And I just want to say, I'm pulling for you, hoping that you'll win, and we'll be proud of you. And we'll be proud of you anyway. Go Blue. Beat the Spartans.
Right now they're leading by 3. A.J. Williams tackled in the flat for no gain. Al Wistert was a great player. How about his family? 3 brothers, all played for Michigan. All are in the College Football Hall of Fame. Francis, Albert, and Alvin. Ox, who you just heard from, was an 8-time All-Pro for the Eagles and had his number retired by the Philadelphia Eagles. He's in their Hall of Fame.
Yeah, just, you know, you can hear the passion that he has about being a Michigan man and what it means and the pride that they take in it. It's fun to see.
Both of these schools treasure their traditions and legends. Davion Smith dumped by Lawrence Thomas.
Lawrence Thomas on the tackle.
Momentum on the side of the Spartans, and the defense trying to force a 3 and out.
You got a money down right here now. Big players make plays in big games. Shalik Calhoun has been getting great pressure all day on Jake Rudock. So let's see if they decide to play coverage or bring 5. If I'm Michigan State, I'm bringing 5 and forcing Rudock to beat me and make the right read.
Rudock's thrown only 11 passes. He's completed 8 for 80 yards. Most importantly, he has not turned it over. Rudock surveys the field, lofts one a little short, but on target for Amara Darboh.
Really good job by Michigan, realizing the pass rush has been an issue, as Chris mentioned. They kept Jake Butt in and allowed them to have enough guys on that side to really take care of Calhoun and the extra rushers.
You're putting too much pressure on Grayson Miller right there. You've got to be able to disrupt his timing down that field. Grayson Miller's caught flat-footed, and Darboh just runs by him. Ball's underthrown, but Darboh made great adjustment on the catch.
Thrown in the right place, it might have been a touchdown. It's a 32-yard gain instead. Davion Smith stuffed to the line of scrimmage. Damon Knox, a backup in that front 4. Number 93, senior from Muskegon, Michigan. Chris, that's 3 more pass plays given up by the Michigan State defense today of 20 yards or more. 29 for the year in this, their 7th game of the season, against a Michigan team that's really struggled to make throws down the field so far this year.
They've attacked the middle of the field at the safety position, but you got to help those guys by jamming inside receivers. Corner blitz.
Rudock surrounded, got it off, intended for J.U. Chesson. He got tangled up, and there is a flag thrown. John Reschke, the linebacker, running in coverage with the wide receiver Chesson, one of the speediest players in the Big Ten. He runs a 10-300.
Well, he knows where to attack. The corner blitz from Demetrius Cox.
Pass interference, defense number 33. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
It's J.U. Chesson right here in the backfield. You know the corner blitz is coming here. Jake Rudock's going to make that read right off the get-go. Understanding, again, the matchup that he wants when you have J.U. Chesson on Reschke. You'll take that all day. And actually a pretty smart play by Reschke of getting him down as opposed to getting beat by 6. But there's the growth of Jake Rudock in this offense, recognizing the corner blitz and where to attack.
15-yard penalty. Just the 3rd penalty for the Spartans. They aren't penalized much. Chesson, running room. Chesson, and a nice tackle at the 12-yard line by the true freshman Grayson Miller. Thrust into action with the injuries to R.J. Williamson, Leonte Copeland.
So one of the first times Shalik Calhoun has made a mental error chasing the play action fake down the line of scrimmage, not maintaining contain, forcing Rudock not to pull up, but giving him a free run to throw the football.
4 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Michigan leads by 3, trying to add to the lead. 2nd down and 1. Davion Smith spins ahead for the first down. Riley Bulla made the tackle. Kari Willis, another true freshman, up from his safety spot. Had a shot at Davion Smith, shy of the marker, couldn't get him down. 1st and goal, Michigan from the 8. Play fake to Smith. Rudock stepped up. Darboh driven back from the 4-yard line. There's a flag down in the offensive backfield. And it's a holding penalty against Michigan.
Not a bad call. 1st down play action pass. Michigan State being disciplined in their coverage, not falling.
Holding. Offense number 71. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Well, the front 4 for Michigan State can bring pressure. Your left guard, Ben Braden, trying to protect his quarterback at all cost. He's going to get caught here with a good tackle, actually. on Shalik Calhoun.
Two fullbacks on the field. Rudock, lots of time, can't find anybody open. Running out of time and throws it away in the general direction of Jake Butt. A tough throw under duress and running to his left as a right-handed thrower. And another spirited rush from Shalik Calhoun. But the difference in the offensive line, Chris, from last year to this year is remarkable. It's basically the same guys. They're all veterans with at least 18 career starts. But the year's worth of experience, very important, according to Tim Drevno, the new offensive line coach. But I think he's being modest too. He's instilled with Jim Harbaugh toughness.
And they got tired. They have a lot of pride, and they're playing tougher.
Dumped off and batted down. He's trying to set it up for Davion Smith over the middle. Joel Heath knocked it away.
He had him too, because you had Glasgow, the center, right on Riley Bulletin. Watch this, Sean. This is wide open. This is Heath saves the day. Look at Glasgow going to come right out here and pick up Riley Bulla. And see all that space right there? That was a touchdown-saving bat down by Heath.
So wow. It's a goal-to-go situation from the 18-yard line. Third down. They are in field goal range.
Don't take a sack.
Michigan State brings pressure and a wide open receiver. J.U. Chesson wrestled across the boundary by Demetrius Cox at the 3-yard line. It'll be fourth down and goal from the 3. And the field goal unit is coming out for Jim Harbaugh.
Beautiful job of picking up pressure. Michigan State was protecting the goal line, which left about 8 yards short of the goal line wide open, and putting your field goal kicker in position for an easier kick. Wonderful job by that offensive line.
Kenny Allen, tough angle for a short field goal from the right hash mark. 21-yarder. He's 1 for 1 today. And it is right down the middle. Games, the longest streak in LSU history is Charles Alexander with 9 straight back in the late 70s.
I think he goes for 117 tonight. That's my prediction.
Take the
Okay.
Kenny Allen's kickoff down by R.J. Shelton. Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball. Michigan State ball down by 6. Delton Williams, the ball carrier. Maurice Hurst made the tackle. Williams was going to redshirt, hadn't played at all until last week. Madre London got hurt in the 3rd quarter. Suffered a right ankle injury and did not return. So they were lacking in depth at running back, but Mark D'Antonio also felt like his team needed an emotional lift. And Williams, well-respected team leader, his return to action, he felt helped elevate his team. Good catch. We talked about how last week those wide receivers made one big catch after another. It's McGarrett Kings again with Channing scribbling on it.
Well, this is a great adjustment by the Michigan State offense and Connor Cook of getting other receivers involved. Well-placed ball, Todd.
And Cook just doesn't waste time if he doesn't need to waste time. He recognizes what he wants right away and gets the ball out. Now they're going a little tempo.
As Chris suggested earlier, they might try to get in a little rhythm. They don't typically do it. R.J. Shelton crossed midfield. Marked out at the 49, chased out by Jabril Peppers. It's a team in Michigan State that likes to work the clock like Michigan. Last year they led the country in time of possession. As a matter of fact, since the start of the 2013 season, Michigan State's led the country in time of possession.
Here's the reason why you go rhythm, because then you force the defense to show their hand a little bit in with coverage, which gives an easier pre-snap read to Connor Cook and where he wants to go with the ball.
Under a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. Delton Williams. Of course, they lost Jeremy Langford to the NFL after last season. Williams was their top returning running back in the spring. Was involved in an off-the-field episode, brandishing a firearm. Lost his scholarship, came back as the bottom running back on the depth chart. Aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear. Kick off your drive with tires that return, superior performance, Goodyear, more driven.
Michigan brought in Godin, an extra defensive lineman, took out of the safety, goal line on goal line.
3rd down and 2. Power football. Who'll win the battle at the line of scrimmage? This time it's Michigan. Williams stacked up. James Ross, who did not play in the first half with the targeting suspension a week ago. There is a flag down. Jordan Lewis up from his defensive back position.
After the play was over, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 69. 15 yards from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Willie Henry.
Wow, you got to keep your emotions in check. I mean, everybody gets you want to be fired up and all that. You have to be smart and hear the whistle. There's Willie Henry, number 69, who the flag is called on. Defense is doing a great job. I mean, come on, man.
Well, given how long they took to blow the whistle on Sione Homa's touchdown, when it looked like forward progress had been stopped, why would Henry or any other defender on either side assume the play is over? 2 of the top 12 teams in the country meeting for the 108th time, all time, but just the 17th time when both have been ranked in the top 25. Usually one is good or the other. This year they're both outstanding football teams. Those with Big Ten title aspirations, the hope of playing in the college football playoff. Michigan State, winners of 10 games in a row, the 4th longest winning streak in the country. Behind only Ohio State, TCU, and Memphis. Memphis won its 13th straight game today in the upset against Ole Miss. Connor Cook on 1st and 10, throws incomplete. It's Burbridge and Lewis, as they've been all day long, linked together.
That's 2 great players doing battle, and like I said, it's personal. And Lewis has done an outstanding job, especially against the fade stop. And what I love is he does not panic. He stays patient and trusts his training and gets his hands laid up to disrupt the concentration of Burbridge.
Michigan State has won 32 of its last 35 games. They've won a school record 11 straight Big Ten road games. Down by 6, batted down at the line of scrimmage. Willie Henry was called for that big personal foul a moment ago, helping to atone for that. 3rd and 10.
Good job of recognizing corner blitz by Connor Cook, going to his hot route. But again, like we saw Michigan State do, this time Willie Henry, knowing he's not getting there on the blitz, is able to get the big paw in there for the block shot, the rejection.
Big play call here for Dave Warner. He might have 2 plays to get the 10 yards given their field goal troubles. It'll be about a 50-yarder into the wind here anyway.
He's got to beat man coverage.
Michigan brings blitz off the corner, down the middle, too high. It didn't look like Aaron Burbridge saw the ball coming.
It's the first time that they have not been on the same page. We saw this in Rutgers last week where Aaron Burbridge's head is late. He's not seeing what Connor Cook is seeing. He sees the blitz coming from the right, understands he has the matchup to the left. It's just a missed time throw. There's the man beaters that Todd McShay talks about. Switch routes.
Saw Mark D'Antonio holding up the fingers. He's going for it on 4th down. They're 0 for 2 on 4th down today, including that fake punt.
Man coverage again, Sean.
Pressure again, but Cook has time. Throws, dropped! It would have been a first down, but McGarrett Kings couldn't hang on.
Just a great job by Connor Cook there, just moving slightly in the pocket in order to buy some extra time, found the open receiver, put it right where he had to, Chris.
You know what? These games, they come down to 5 or 6 plays.
Yep.
And rivalry games like this, McGarrett Kings had a chance to make a play. Now, as the coach, you tell him, guess what? This game is a lot of time left. We're going to come back to you. But you got to make a play when the play needs to be made. your opportunity to shine.
And you talked about Cook and his leadership, not being named the captain. It's a pretty good time to go over, put your arm around him and say, hey, I'm coming back to you, be ready.
That's beautiful. Maybe he learned some lessons.
Well, they turn it over on downs for the 3rd time. Michigan from the 32. Any kind of score would make it a 2-score game. Rudock going deep. Intended for J.U. Chesson. Arjun Colhoun had the coverage. Colhoun was victimized regularly last week by Leonte Carew, the fine receiver for Rutgers, who had over 100 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, if he's easing, he's leaving. And right here, Jake Rudock underthrows him. Throw that ball out there. Let the speedy J.U. Chesson go up and make a play. I don't think he underthrew that on purpose by the position of the corner. If he's even with the corner, then you throw him open deep. If you're long, you're never wrong.
Davion Smith, great penetration by Malik McDowell, the sophomore. Here's Adnan Vark. Steve Spurrier here in Ann Arbor, never been to the big house, was looking forward to watching the game in person. There is the ball coach with his wife Jerry. 3rd down and 11. Rudock, another deep throw on target. Amara Darboe. Demetrius Cox had the coverage, but another long pass play given up in a key spot by the Spartans.
Yeah, you got to be aware of where you are in the field. Demetrius Cox takes his eyes off his guy that he is responsible for. Recognition by Darboe, sitting that route down in the zone. Jake Rudock thrown behind to settle him down with a big 1st down catch.
.24-yard gain. Again, they try the quick pop with the fullback, Joe Carriage.
You know, last week, Cox, number 7, the quarterback, was playing safety. They've had so many injuries in the secondary. Nobody in Michigan State's making any excuses. They're adjusting, they're moving guys around. But it's got to be tough on Cox going from the safety position to playing some man-to-man cover corner this week.
Yeah, well, he took his eyes off the receiver.
Right.
He thought he was going deep, and Darboe did a good job of settling that down. And Rudock threw him open, bringing him back to the football.
Play action pass for Jake Rudock on 1st down, and Shalik Calhoun there again. Trips him up back at the 44-yard line. And another huge 3rd down play upcoming.
He's just a beast off the edge. I mean, when you have speed off the corner and you have long arms, that's the biggest fear factor an offensive tackle faces, no matter what level you're playing at. So he had 23.5 sacks. He's an amazing athlete on that corner.
Moved up to 5th all-time in Michigan State in sacks. Just a 3-man rush. Rudock zips one low. That's going to be ruled a catch by the official on the ball, but no catch from the official along the far sideline. Jake Butt telling his sideline he's sure he caught it. Show the same replay you saw on the big screen. The crowd thinks it was a catch.
I think it's a catch too. I think his hands were underneath the ball from that angle.
The ruling on the field was an incomplete pass. That ruling is under further review.
Jake Butt does not have a catch yet today.
I think his hands, the yellow part of the gloves, look like they are between the grass and the football. Your thoughts?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest. I'm not sure we've seen conclusively that it was a catch. And the ruling on the field was incomplete pass. So in the absence of clear proof, the call was incorrect. I think it has to stand myself.
And the ruling, will stand. I think it's a catch, but obviously the official is closer. But I'm going to stay with it. Yeah, I do. I think his hands and gloves are between the ball and the field. I don't think that ball hits the ground.
I just don't think it's definitive.
Yeah. And I can see that point of view, but so I think you're right, Sean. It'll come back as a stand, but I'm at home. I'm a fan. I'm an analyst. To me, that's a catch.
Review, the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass stands. Fourth down.
And again, is not confirmed stands, and that means Tom Kissinger just couldn't see enough to overturn it or to confirm it. So the ball comes back to the line of scrimmage, the 44-yard line. They're not in field goal range. And on 4th and 9, the punting unit comes out. Can Blake O'Neill do it again? He's been phenomenal through 7 games this season, pinning the opponents inside the 10-yard line.
R.J. Shelton should do everything he can to catch this ball by reading the punter if he does the rugby style.
This time he punts it straight on. Shelton signaled for the fair catch, didn't catch it. Really didn't cost them any yardage as the ball bounced back toward the 8-yard line. During the break, John O'Neill corrected his mistake. The penalty was against Malik McDowell of Michigan State, and the ball's back on the 4-yard line. L.J. Scott just trying to get some room. He's yanked down by Royce Jenkins Stone. No gain on the play.
You know, lost in all of this, these two defensive fronts have just been like running into a brick wall. You've got Michigan with 70 rushing yards, Michigan State with 67. Both teams have had to go to the air to try to get some positive yards. Really impressive watching these defensive fronts for both the Wolverines and Spartans.
Yeah, it's old school, and they're both playing great football.
4 receivers and 2 bunches to either side. Connor Cook out of the end zone, throws short of a first down. R.J. Shelton wrestled to the boundary by Jabril Peppers.
The punting,
3rd down for Michigan State. They'll need a little over 3 for a first down.
You know, the punting problems of Michigan State, Sean. This is a great chance for the Michigan defense to set up their offense by getting this stop. You have to be aggressive on defense. It's worked for you all day, and they are in man-to-man.
A blitz. Connor Cook dumps it off over the middle. Burbridge got tangled up with Jordan Lewis, but no flag on the play. And give this patchwork offensive line some credit. Even with the blitz coming there, they gave Cook time. He just couldn't complete it.
A good job by Jordan Lewis off the get-go of disrupting the timing of the route. Gets tripped and does not put his hands on him, but he is bumping him with his shoulder, but does not grab. Again, disciplined play. Now this is important. This is where Michigan State has struggled in the punting game.
They go back to the starter for most of the year, Jake Hartbarger, redshirt freshman. Short punt, fielded on the run by Jabril Peppers. Flag down, flag down. He's down at the 27-yard line, but there's a flag back at the 40. Kari Willis made the tackle. There's the 33-yard punt. 17-yard return if it stands. They're talking it over.
There is no foul for a block in the back. The block in question was a legal block. First down.
And a very difficult day, both on the field for the officials and in the replay booth. 7 replay stoppages. And both sides will have something to complain about if they so choose when the game's over from that standpoint.
It's number 24, I believe, Wayne Lyons, defensive back. You know, you can go either way on that. I thought from that angle, he was on the side of him, and that's a questionable call. A lot of those today.
Well, even a field goal here is huge. It would make it a 2-score game. J.U. Chesson scored twice this year on jet sweeps, and a depth runner chopped down there by Grayson Miller.
Good job coming from his safety position. Played with his dad in Detroit. John Miller was an outstanding safety. Grayson, a true freshman, is playing tough today. That's the benefit of having safeties up close, because you get them in quick run support.
Michigan State, they like to redshirt the freshmen if they can. Started the year with 23 seniors, and 20 of them were fifth-year seniors. Rudock, his pass batted down to the line of scrimmage by Lawrence Thomas.
I don't know what Jake Rudock's doing. He's running into the pass rush. Take a look right here is Thomas. Jake is going to run right into the pass rush, taking away his own throwing lane. He had a throwing lane right there. He ran that way into the throwing lane.
Third down and 9. From here would be about a 44-yard field goal with the wind. Allen has the leg to do that.
Michigan State's playing a little, it's like a little zone, soft 2 zone.
Malik McDowell came across the line, pointing that he was drawn off.
Yeah, the secondary pointing at Darbo.
Before the play, timeout, Michigan. Their first timeout.
But that one loss against Temple kind of sticks in your head. They look really bad opening the season against the Owls. Kenny Allen kicks off for Michigan. Now with a 9-point lead, and it's a touchback. Here's a look at this week's Associated Press college football rankings, brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Ohio State #1, not as clear in #1 as it was to start the year. Baylor 62 points today in the win against West Virginia. And we talked to Mark D'Antonio. Michigan State at one point was #2. And then they have the close wins against Purdue. Rutgers didn't look good doing it. They're down to #7. Meanwhile, Ohio State hasn't looked particularly impressive. They're just staying up there at #1 every week.
And I think that's by winning a national championship, maybe you get that benefit of the doubt. And I think Mark uses that as the building that chip on his shoulder.
Couple of fakes in the run game, and Cook has a wide open receiver. Trevin Pendleton, the fullback, off to the races inside the 20. Batted down from behind, but he's in for a touchdown. 75 yards for the fullback, Trevin Pendleton. Delano Hill tried to pop the ball out and knocked him down, and let's make sure this was a touchdown. It's never a sure thing today. Yes.
Absolutely a touchdown. Delano Hill did a good job of tracking him down. That's the good news. The bad news, that was his man.
It was a touchdown. That ruling is under further review.
The 8th replay stoppage. Trevin Pendleton doesn't get the ball much. But you might remember 2 years ago in the game between these two teams, the first offensive play of the game for Michigan State, Pendleton had a 49-yard reception. This is his first catch of the year. And his second touch. He had 1 carry for no gain. Senior from Lucasville, Ohio.
I think that ball's crossed the line. It's a great call by Dave Warner. Delano Hill was lost in space.
Great TV show back in the day. John O'Neill's going to have an earache from wearing that headset so often today. Trevin Pendleton came as a walk-on. Had offers from Ball State and the Air Force Academy out of high school. Wanted to play the best possible football he could. Paid his way for a couple of years and had just about gotten to the point where he and his parents couldn't do it anymore financially. And Mark D'Antonio told him he was on scholarship.
Well, he's earned it, Sean. I mean, just watching film, he gives you everything he has. He's an outstanding lead blocker. Talking about getting other guys involved, and how about that in the 4th quarter? Calling it to your fullback who's got, what, 2 passes in 2 years?
Long review. And the fans are getting restless. They've had enough of watching John O'Neill with a headset on today.
It's it. Call it, it stands, get a touchdown, and let's go.
And again, if it takes this long, it's not conclusive. Therefore, just say it stands and snap the ball.
After further review, the runner was tackled short of the goal line.
Okay, so much
the ball will be placed at the half-yard line. First and goal on the right hash. The clock will start when we're ready for play.
I just see different things today. It's not honest. I'm not melting with the refs.
Nope.
Just seeing different things.
We've had very few games this season where the officiating in the replay booth has been an issue. I mean,
it's the front part of the goal line too. It's not the back part. It doesn't have to clear the whole line.
there's the knee down, I guess, is what he's saying, but I don't know how you can see his right knee down from that view.
It's bang, bang.
Left knee down. From that angle, you can't tell if he's over the goal line or not. They take the touchdown away, and it doesn't matter, except it costs a couple of seconds. L.J. Scott the touchdown. Of course, it's pending a review. Pretty sure this one will stand.
That's a champion's answer right there. Going down 2 possessions in the 4th quarter, you call a play that nobody expects, and you execute it perfectly.
It was a 74-yard gain for Pendleton, and it's the longest offensive play of the year for the Spartans. And L.J. Scott the touchdown. Michigan State's become one of the great football programs in the country under Mark D'Antonio, and you're seeing an example of why. An knack for making the big play when they need it. They've won their last 6 games decided by a touchdown or less, and it took them just 29 seconds to score on this possession.
Yeah, Michigan has everybody covered. Now Delano Hill gets lost in space and starts covering dirt. Did not see Pendleton sneak out. Connor Cook, excellent at finding the open receivers and exploiting the weakness.
Well, and we talked about expect the unexpected in this rivalry. Consistently, Mark D'Antonio and his coaching staff have pulled out tricks in big games, and just really a great design and great play call by Dave Warner there. The double reverse, the misdirection, and then sneaking the last guy on the field that you would think would be out there open for a pass.
And Todd, this is, when watching all the film, one of the things that makes Michigan's defense stand out is the lack of mental errors, especially in coverage. Right there, if you have a mental error in man-to-man coverage, it often leads to a big play. And Mark D'Antonio is such a good coach and his staff, they'll be able to exploit that.
Winningest coach against Michigan in Michigan State history, D'Antonio. Another squib kick by Kevin Cronin. And it's booted around, and Jabril Peppers and J.U. Chesson trying to get on a loose ball. It's free inside the 25-yard line.
That's the purpose of the squib kick, right there.
Well, that and the fact that their coverage units conventionally have been terrible. Spartans convinced they have it. Mark D'Antonio is as well. And the officials still don't know. Crucial decision here. They want to make sure they get it right. And there's probably a lengthy wrestling match going on for that ball. Michigan ball, they say.
I think J.U. Chesson is the one that comes up with it. It's right there between his legs, and that's a battle. And J.U., and I've been on the bottom of those piles, and it's exhausting being in the bottom of that pile because you're holding on with every ounce of strength and energy you have to protect that football. And that's a great play and a salvage by J.U. Chesson.
It's still not secure for a while. Then it looks like he scoops it in. Jermaine Edmondson closest for Michigan State. There hasn't been a turnover in the game. That was awfully close. Davion Smith cannot get outside. Gang tackled by the Spartans back at the 21. Riley Bulla leading the posse to the football. A rare lost yardage play, just the second of the day for Davion Smith.
Malik McDowell makes the play though, Sean. He forces Smith to run the hump. That means run east and west as opposed to north and south by getting penetration on that sweep. That guy's a future first-round pick right there. He is special.
He was a top recruit, 60th ranked player in the country at any position coming out of high school. Florida State among those who really wanted him. Rudock short, and a short gain to Jake Butt. They'll give him forward progress to the 28. Riley Bulla, Grayson Miller made the tackle. Bulla said this morning on game day they start talking about beating Michigan in their first winter workouts after the previous season has ended.
They embrace it. I mean, yeah, it's all one game at a time and all that, but don't be fooled. They think about this game all year. There's nothing wrong with that. Embrace who you are and what you believe.
Midway through the fourth quarter, Michigan by 2, 3rd down and 9. 4-man rush. Rudock throws off the hands of his receiver and incomplete. Intended for J.U. Chesson, who could not hang on well beyond the marker. He would have had the first down with about 8 yards to spare.
Yeah, it takes a tough guy, and J.U. Chesson's a tough guy to catch one off the middle. I'm not sure his eyes don't leave this football at the last second. Oh, he just dropped the ball and
it takes a tough guy at the quarterback position to hang in there and make that throw too. 2 defenders converging on Rudock. He didn't care. Stared down the gun barrel, made a big-time throw. Receiver's got to come up with it.
Blake O'Neill, rugby punt, line drive. R.J. Shelton taken down immediately. Well covered by Ben Gideon. 44-yard punt. Rare good field position for Michigan State. Starting from its own 32, their second best starting field position in 12 possessions. The previous best, their own 46. They've trailed by 10 and by 9. Now they're within 2. They have not led today. Connor Cook deep and caught. Aaron Burbridge won the ongoing battle with Jordan Lewis. And he's at the Michigan 40-yard line with a first down on a 28-yard play.
Well, this is the strength of Burbridge. I like how he sets him up, Todd, with a little stutter step to slow down a little bit, then come back to the football.
This is such a great battle individually on the perimeter. Here we go, tempo again.
And a blitz and a throw for the tight end, Paul Lang, who got tangled up with Delano Hill in coverage.
Going back to that Burbridge catch, really Lewis has gotten the better of Burbridge the vast majority of the day. In a big-time moment, you see Burbridge goes down the field, is able to gain a little bit of separation and makes the tough catch. Right there Lewis is with his hand, just not able to make the play. I mean, you don't get many better individual one-on-one matchups on the perimeter than we're getting today between Burbridge and Lewis.
2 great players doing battle in a great game.
Bear in mind, Michigan State's had major field goal difficulties. The field goal will give them the lead. That pass is batted down. Another blitz, and Jared Wilson knocked the pass down.
Why the blitz is so effective is because of the timing of the blitz. Jared Wilson, number 22, is going to come untouched. Now, Connor Cook does a great job of accounting for the blitz, makes the right read to Delton Williams out in the flat, but Jared Wilson times his jump perfectly to bat it down.
3rd down and 10. They're not in field goal range right here. Under 7 minutes to go. Cook is pressured, hit as he throws. It is dropped. McGarrett Kings the second time today. He would have had a first down with a catch that he couldn't hang on to. Channing Stribling had the coverage.
This is just Connor Cook and why he's going to excel at the next level. Knowing that he's going to get smacked by Desmond Morgan. Look where the ball is placed, where his guy can only catch it. And again, McGarrett Kings, it would have been a tough catch, but guess what? In this type of game, you got to bring that one down if you want to walk away a victor off the field. What a great throw. Toughness by Connor Cook.
They go back to Tyler O'Connor, who was the backup punter until today. Hartbarger took the last punt. O'Connor trying to pooch it down, and too far. And again, when Michigan State needs the special teams to make a play, Mark D'Antonio wants to know what's that all about. They turned it over 3 times on downs, and with 10 yards to go, they didn't want to hand it back at the 40-yard line. Lean on the defense with 6:41 to go and all 3 of your timeouts remaining. After the touchback, 1st and 10 from the 20. Ron Higdon, the freshman, in there at crunch time for Jim Harbaugh, and he just tripped over his own feet for a 1-yard gain.
No, he shouldn't be in there. Davion Smith should be in the ball game in crunch time. I mean, he's young. His feet got ahead of his brain. Put your Warhorse in there in Warhorse time. It's Warhorse time. 6 minutes to go.
Higdon has better speed. Perhaps they had a play that they thought might go a long way. It went for 1 yard. Approaching 6 minutes to go. Jake Rudock steps up, deep throw, man open, too long for J.U. Chesson. He got behind the true freshman Kari Willis, and Rudock couldn't hit him.
Well, this is where he struggled all year on the deep ball. Earlier in the ball game, we saw that he was short. J.U. Chesson has separation. Just Jake did not put enough air under it.
They're set up perfectly, too. They motioned over Williams, their tight end, got him in position to help with the pass rush with Calhoun, and he did a really good job getting in position initially, wasn't able to sustain and took his hands off, so he didn't get a hold of it.
That's where he's got to improve for this team to keep getting better.
3rd down and 9. Looked like Michigan State was offside. There's a flag down on the play, and the pass is incomplete, broken up by Grayson Miller. It did look like it was an offside against.
Offside, defense number 4. 5 yards from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
Malik McDowell.
I was going to say, I think it's Calhoun is the one that jumps. We'll see. I think Malik or Calhoun's the one that jumps.
No question, but then again, it's been that kind of a day. So much more manageable 3rd down and 4.
And they're in their man-beater bunch formation. Michigan State's forced to play man in this short yardage.
Michigan 4 out of 13 on 3rd down. That pass is batted away up in the air. It comes back to Rudock, who gets wrestled to the ground well short of the 1st down. I believe the original pass was intended for Amara Darboh, and it hit him. And then Karen back toward the line of scrimmage.
And you know, Jake throws the fastball, and again he recognizes the man coverage, and Darboh, the ball is there but it's fast, and Jake Rudock, avoiding disaster to help with field position, at least catches the football and brings it in.
The crowd thought that Rudock was roughed up at the end of the play. Demetrius Cox had the coverage on Darboh. 5 minutes to go. 2nd straight 3 and out. Michigan State rising up on defense. Blake O'Neal's been one of the stars of the day, the Michigan punter. Another good one, and a fair catch made by R.J. Shelton. Michigan has a 1-yard edge in the rushing total, and as we mentioned, the team that's rushed for the most yards, and there's flags before the play. A lot of flinching on both sides. The team that has rushed for the most yards in this rivalry has won 42 of the last 45 meetings. Right now it's Michigan 69, Michigan State 68 on the ground. There was a stretch of 26 years in a row where the winning team rushed for the most yardage.
Offside, defense number 69. Jumped in the neutral zone and forced the offensive player to react. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Willie Henry called for another penalty.
This is where your defense has to play big. You've been stars all year. Michigan State's defense rose up, forced a punt on a 3 and out. What do you have, Wolverines? Can you answer the challenge?
1st and 5 opens up. A lot of options in this playbook. 4-man rush. Cook running out of time, spins away and then goes down. And his ability to stay on his feet hurt him as he lost additional yardage. Willie Henry the first pressure, and then Ryan Glasgow finished him off.
Make amends, Willie. Right there, coming off the top as the inside tackle. They run a little stunt. They lose him on a stunt, Todd. And he's able to knock him enough off balance.
The routes were just a little late to develop. Again, the Michigan corners doing a pretty good job getting their hands on these receivers and rerouting them a little bit early.
Loss of 10 on the play. 2nd and 15. Spartans from their own 23. 4:10 to go. Here comes the rush again. Cook floats one. Caught! Burbridge again. Lewis on him again. First down, Michigan State. 48-yard line.
I've got no complaints with Lewis, and Burbridge makes a great play, but an even better throw. And every time he's hit Burbridge on the fade, he's always thrown it to the back shoulder, which is the perfect placement where his guy gets it or nobody gets it as they go tempo after the big gain.
26-yard gain, 9th catch for Burbridge. Gerald Holmes gets him ahead for 2 to the 50. Desmond Morgan the tackle. Burbridge today, 9 catches for 132. He's been targeted 17 times. So he's won his fair share, but Lewis has won his battles as well. It's the 5th 100-yard game of the season for Burbridge, and this their 7th game of the year.
And they talked about the importance of their offense, of them winning the 50-50 balls. Well, they're winning the 50-50 balls in crucial times.
As they did at crunch time against Rutgers last week. Wolverines rush only 3, still put heat on Cook, who got it off, close to a first down. The catch made by Josiah Price, the tight end. At the 43, it'll be 3rd down and 1. First catch of the day for Price, and the clock will roll under 3 minutes to go.
Here's what you do if you're Michigan. In order to cover yourself on the run, you have a blitz. You trust your corners to make a play. You trust your man-to-man defense. That's what you live on. But do what you do best. You have to come with the blitz, take away the running lanes, and play man-to-man on the outside.
Michigan State 50% for the year on 3rd down, just 2 out of 10 today against the best 3rd down defense in the country. Michigan blitzes, and it's a first down. Gerald Holmes struggles to the 36, but got there. Matthew Godin, the tackle. 2:30 to go. It's John Baxter, the special teams coach. Michael Geiger, the field goal kicker's had a rough year, but coming into this season, he had been their kicker the previous 2 years and had made 76% of his kicks the last 2 years. He's better than he's shown this year. It might come down to him. 2:10 to go. Cook in trouble and hangs on, but goes down back at the 45. Willie Henry and Royce Jenkins Stone get to the quarterback.
Well, again, this time it's just Willie Henry who beats Brian Allen on a quick swim move. Brian Allen ducks his head. When you duck your head, it's like man-to-man coverage. You're going to lose your guy who you're responsible for.
It's really only Henry. Jenkins Stone wound up there for the celebration. Ben Gideon as well. 3rd sack for Willie Henry. He's had an up and down day, and a timeout has been called by Michigan State with 2:03 to go, facing 2nd and 19, down by 2. Michigan, 3-man rush down to the sideline and over the head of Aaron Burbridge. Jordan Lewis in coverage. 1:59 to go, 2 timeouts for each side, 3rd down and 19. And that's the field goal kicker, Geiger, and I think Mark D'Antonio wants to know exactly where he'd feel comfortable, where he'd like the ball. But they're a little bit away from that part of the process. Not in field goal range right now. Geiger's career long is 49. Michigan State going into about a 10-mile-per-hour breeze. Three-man rush again. Cook throws, and it's batted away. Lewis wins that battle with Burbridge.
Burbridge does a really good job of being exactly where Cook expects him to be. Goes up and attacks the ball. Problem is that Lewis, the cornerback, once again has his hands exactly where they're supposed to be. When you're not looking back at the quarterback, you have to trust when you read the receiver's eyes, the technique that you have, and it's been drilled in, and he's been doing it all day long.
This could be it. 4th and 19. And 1 timeout left now for the Spartans. So they're pinning their hopes on their ability to convert on a 4th down and 19.
So if I'm Michigan on 4th and 19, I just got pressure with a 3-man rush. I can have maximum effort back on the first down marker to keep them from getting the first down or getting into field goal range. I know blitz has been getting you there, but you want to make sure you help on Burbridge and bring a 3-man rush because that pressure has been successful.
And you'd expect extra attention to Burbridge, although Lewis, despite the numbers Burbridge has put up, given the number of times that he's been targeted, it's been a pretty fair and even matchup. If not Burbridge, where do you go? And it's been very little from the other wide receivers, from Shelton and Kings, although Shelton made a huge catch at crunch time last week at Rutgers.
Yeah, that's where you think you would go. Now, R.J. Shelton's the next explosive guy. I don't know what kind of confidence he has right now, McGarrett Kings, with 2 drops in crucial situations, but Michigan's in control here. The one thing you don't want to do is bring an all-out blitz without a safety or nobody behind and give up the big one over the top. Bring 3. If you bring any type of pressure, it should be a zone pressure.
Could be the biggest play of the season for these 2 teams. 3-man rush, and Henry gets pressure again. Cook had to scramble, just lofts it up, and it is batted down. Channing, Stribling, and DeMonte Thomas. They're trying to get it to Kings. Michigan State 0 for 4 on 4th down.
Well, exactly what we thought. Willie Henry is beating him with speed off the edge, forces Connor Cook to run. Then you see Maurice Hurst coming in to finish him off. Great angles by the Michigan secondary to knock that down by Thomas and Stribling. Execution under pressure by the Wolverines.
And he was actually open. He had the receiver open early on. It's just that the pressure took away his ability, Cook's ability to step into his throw and drive it down the field.
If you can't protect the 3-man pressure with 5 guys, it's tough to win a football game, especially in a crucial situation.
That was the difference there, Chris.
You don't need to rush more than 3 with the pressure they were getting with 3. Willie Henry, a standout here at the end of the game. Only 1 timeout left for the Spartans. They're trying to strip Davion Smith. And they use the timeout with 1:42 to go.
These are 2 really good football teams. They're both physical. And Mark D'Antonio will have his team back ready to go. They're competitors, and Jim Harbaugh has turned the tide. And the big difference with Jim Harbaugh, Sean, is that he gets the most out of every guy. That's why he's a great football coach. Brady Hoke brought all these guys in, and Jim utilizes them.
We talked to the players yesterday about what Harbaugh's brought, and he said he set the tone in spring practice. They allow you, the NCAA, to have 4-hour practices if you want to in the spring, and they were out there for 4 hours every day. Jim Harbaugh told his team, you guys couldn't finish games late last year. We're going to simulate what the end of the game is like when you're tired, when we go to the 4th hour of practice day after day after day.
You know what and that's what's happening.
Situations like this.
This is why you do that. And here's the thing: is Desmond's happy. Is the one thing this team has that's different. The biggest difference in this team from last year to this year is a genuine confidence, not a false bravado. A genuine confidence.
And it comes from having success. You know, last year they were waiting for the inevitable bad thing to happen, usually a turnover. They were at the bottom of the country, very close to the very bottom in turnover margin. Davion Smith tackled by John Reschke. Now they have emerged not only as a legitimate contender in the Big Ten. If this one goes in the win column, they'll be 3-0 in the Big Ten East. To Minnesota next, Rutgers, Indiana, Penn State, and then the rivalry game with Ohio State. You'd have to love their chances in the next 4.
Yeah, I think the one next week at Minnesota, Little Brown Jug game, is going to be a tough one. 3rd and 3. Got to play it till the end. But they're certainly in control.
Going to use one of his timeouts. 56 seconds to go.
The one thing you talk about in this timeout situation, first and foremost, secure the football. So Davion, if you get hit, don't fight for extra yards. Protect the ball with 2 hands, and anything can happen but a turnover. That's the #1 priority that's going on in that huddle right now.
I don't think anybody would be surprised, given Jim Harbaugh's track record, Chris, that he would get this turned back around, particularly with everything Michigan has to work with here. But he acknowledged in front of a large group of high school coaches in this state not long ago that Michigan State had supplanted Michigan as the big boy on the block here in the state of Michigan. Job one largely to turn that back around. In one game, both coaches said it's hard to judge the impact that it has, but it certainly helps the winner when it comes to recruiting in state and perception. And part of the reason Michigan State's recruiting improved in recent years, there are a lot of reasons why, is the belief among many recruits that Michigan rather, was down and not showing signs of getting back up. And today was, don't you think, for a lot of people around the country, the test. No offense to BYU and Northwestern, they were both ranked teams. It still remains to be seen as the year goes along how good they are. There's no doubt Michigan State is an outstanding team and has been for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's a huge test for them. And when I look at it, I mean, when we saw BYU, I thought they were really good because of what they do defensively and the pass rush, and offensively they've had their issues and challenges. But what I've seen most about this offense, from the loss to Utah to Oregon State to BYU, is the constant improvement of the offensive line. And if they can continue to improve, that's how this team is built, and they protected the football today.
The turnovers really hurt them in the 7-point loss at Utah as well. 10 seconds to go. 4th and 2. And Jim Harbaugh has to decide what he wants to do here. O'Neill's been terrific with the rugby style punts. But you have to be careful here. Make sure the snap's on target. You can't allow a block, and there's nobody back deep for Michigan State. I was going to say you might want to kick it out of bounds to prevent a return, but with nobody back there, just kick it down the field.
Tell your punter to one-step it. Don't take your normal steps. One-step it, get it out.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts-Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable. Michigan State is still the big boy on the block in the state of Michigan. A shocking ending to this rivalry game. And just when it looked like Michigan had made a number of statements regarding what's going on in this state, the Big Ten race, its position nationally, this happens. Mark D'Antonio said the only important thing is to win. We haven't been winning pretty, but we keep finding a way to win. Kings, who had a couple of drops, overcome with the emotion. And they found the most improbable way to win today. There's a couple of questions now on this play. Most notably, did he stay in bounds?
In bounds right there. Good blocking downfield.
No question about that. He's way in bounds. And did he score? Yes, he did. And the clock did expire. 38 yards. O'Neill, who's been terrific all season long in his first year at Michigan, all he had to do was handle the snap and get it off, and he could not.
Well, it almost looked like Shawnee started his rugby-style punt before he caught the football to secure it. Definitely a touchdown.
Thank goodness clearly across the goal line before his knee went down, because I don't think anybody on either side would want to have to suffer through another replay review at the goal line.
And I think another, learning tool, another mistake that he made was tried to kick the ball as opposed to, once he secured that football, just cut your losses right there, because the only thing that Michigan State could have countered with would be the Hail Mary.
Jalen Watts-Jackson, backup defensive back, predominantly a special teams player, sophomore from Dearborn, Michigan. I'm sure there are a number of Spartan fans who had never heard of him. He is now a Michigan State legend and in the history books of this rivalry forever.
Champions die hard. Michigan State, champions, tough, aggressive, great football game.
Game's first turnover comes in the final 10 seconds. Michigan State retains the Paul Bunyan Trophy. An absolutely shocking result and ending here in Ann Arbor.